Hello everybody, I thought I would take the opportunity to showcase to you my latest car purchase. This is a Lexus RX 450h, and the H of course stands for hybrid. This is a very spectacular looking car. Very nice clean exterior with a beautiful luxurious interior. It is one of the few premium hybrid SUVs on the market in Britain today, and I think you can understand why this car is such an attraction to people who just want a very creamy, soft ride, as well as having the classic Lexus style known as the L Finesse design language. I think there are two mandatory requirements in order to be a successful occultist, in my opinion. The first is to have a really nice suit and a whole wardrobe of expensive clothing. You've always got to look sharp if you're a magician. And secondly, I think it's important that you have a really nice car. Something big, something dark, something very imposing and dominant. But in all seriousness, the real reason I'm making this video here today is because I want to talk about wealth-enhancing magic. Is it possible for somebody to ascend the social ladder using occult means? And is it possible to generate money by magic? And yes, it is. I can unequivocally say it is possible. And it's not something that requires complete expertise. It's not particularly difficult, and that's coming from someone who's a real weather magician. Now, before I begin to explain my methods, I must stress that the cars I have and the clothing that I have is not purely from a basis of spirituality. I was born into an advantageous position, and I feel it's only right to point that out. However, I have noticed a pattern. When one begins using feng shui to attract money, what generally happens to me is that I get an abundance of things that I don't particularly need, but I certainly enjoy it when I receive it. So for example, I have this beautiful Lexus. It's very nice, but I could, in all honesty, have bought that on my own with no magical assistance whatsoever. But could I have bought two? And I actually ended up doing just that. Now, I think it was because I had been messing around with wealth magic because I wasn't convinced in my own mind that it worked. I know a lot of people use it and a lot of people swear by it. And I'm not the type of person that truly believes that it's really ethical or even necessary to use money magic in order to generate some kind of cash. I think if you make effective business decisions and you're resourceful and creative, you can do all of that without depending on spirituality. But like I said, it's the abundance. It's getting more than you need. So I wasn't aware up until very recently that I could be in the position to get two RXs, two Lexus RXs. That's two 60 grand vehicles. And that is something that I don't think I would have been able to achieve without the feng shui. And I do hold the rather politically incorrect opinion, I suppose, that if you're able to communicate with spirits, if you're able to summon winds and lightning, and tap into hidden forces within reality, you should, at the very least, be able to look at your bank balance, look in your wallet, and not have to feel disappointed in yourself. You should be financially secure and comfortable and experience some kind of financial stability. And it has nothing to do with boasting or bragging about your wealth or your position in society. It's just about feeling somewhat liberated from the rat race, which to me has always been a big part of my practice. I despise mundanity. I despise being involved in any way in the rat race, and I do not like to live off of the state. And so I think it's very good if you're able to break free in any way that you can beat the system at its own game. Now, there is quite a sizable stigma as it is without involving occultism and spirituality into the mix. I mean, it depends on what practitioners you talk to, many of whom will tell you that it's one of the worst things to wish for money. Now, as a grey arts worker, I did hold some of that stigma myself. I was quite polarized, and I thought, no, this isn't right. I'm doing well enough as it is. I don't need the assistance. But then I was thinking, well, who am I taking the money from? Nobody. I'm not stealing it. I'm not borrowing it. I'm making opportunities. I'm creating these opportunities. I'm not manifesting money and coin through thin air. It's not working like that. The way it works for me is when I sit down to do a ritual, and these are very simple, straightforward workings. They're more meditative. They're more based on the mindset before you enter the ritual itself. And I think a lot of you watching this video, and the reason why you might be struggling in your careers or in your lives financially, is mostly due to your mindset. And long before you reach the altar, long before you light the candles, you've got to change your attitude when it comes to money and numbers. So it's not just a simple case of sitting down, going through the motions and expecting to get rich. It doesn't work like that. If you really want results, you've got to be prepared to accept them and perhaps confront your own inability to create money in the first place. Like I said, I'm someone who naturally attracts wealth. I don't know why, but it just happens to me that I never ever struggle with money. It just comes in. Even without the magic, it still just comes in. And I think it is the way you send out your frequency to the world. What you emit will always come back to you. It's so true. And if you give a good vibe, whether it be with friendships, socially, financially, you will always benefit by having that positive frame of mind, and that's the true magic here, really. But the feng shui principles are just as important. So to begin, we will discuss the power of numbers. Within Taoist philosophy, the most prominent numbers are 4, 5, 7, and 9. For this particular video, we will focus on the numbers of 4 and 5. Take a look at my shrine here. This shrine is a small altar dedicated to Zhuge Kong Ming, who is my spiritual master. Within feng shui, having a statue of Zhuge Liang is said to improve one's luck in business and careers. He is also a protective guardian statue, so having him around my altar will keep me safe from any malevolent spirits that may wish to enter the area. Keep in mind, this particular shrine is not in my bedroom or my living room. It's in my throne room, basically my indoor sacred space. If you plan on becoming a writer and wish to sell your books and make a living from them, Kong Ming will definitely assist you in this goal. Just below the statue of Kong Ming, on the second tier of the altar, you will see the multicolored scepters. These are known as Ru Yis. The Ru Yi symbolizes authority, prestige, and control. In ancient times, Ru Yis were only found on the desks of very high officials, such as prime ministers, and in some cases even in the hands of emperors. If you're a parent and you wish to have more control over your family, if you are a boss, a CEO, and you wish to have more control and influence over your employees, the Ru Yis are definitely the way to go. In fact, I strongly believe that a lot of elected officials use this type of magic to manipulate the public. And as I said before, there is a huge difference between use and abuse. And you can certainly abuse your power if you don't keep your ego in check. You'll notice that there are 5 Ru Yis and 5 different colors: red, blue, green, yellow, and white. Now, it can be quite tricky to find authentic Ruyis, and usually when you do, they are quite the investment, believe me. But the particular set that I have are known as the 5 Supreme Blessings. So the 5 colors correspond to a different type of power. It's very important to remember that in the Chinese Taoist system, there are not just 4 elements, there are actually 5. You have wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. These elements also correspond to planets, and the main planet that we will be focusing on in this video is Jupiter, and for very good reason, as Jupiter is seen as the planet of abundance. And that's not the only reason why Jupiter is very important in this process. If you look at the sigil associated with the planet Jupiter, it looks like 24. The reason why this is essential to the practice is because whenever you attempt to manifest money, you've got to take into consideration the divine number, which is the number 4. So for example, you have the 4 chambers of the human heart, the 4 blood types in humans, the 4 personality types, the 4 wings of most insects, the 4 legs of most mammals, the 4 traditional Western elements, the 4 cardinal directions. So what's the big deal about this number 4, and why is it considered to be the divine number? I believe it's very difficult a lot of the time to tell if your magic is actually working, especially when you're working with money. Is it really you getting a definitive result, or did you just simply have a good business week? Well, usually for me, well actually every single time I've ever done this, on record, I've always gotten the synchronicity of the number 4. 444 pounds, 40 pounds, the most I've ever had ever of all time, 24,000 pounds. And I believe it's a nod from the universe to say, if there's a 4 in there, you know it's us assisting you. So going back to the Chinese elemental system, the wooden Ruyi, the green one, magnifies your ability to generate opportunities in order to get really good money. So say, for example, you want to get promoted or you want to find a really good high-paying job. You will need to use the green Ruyi for that, which is the wooden Ruyi, and of course it's associated with the planet of abundance, Jupiter. So just like how wood itself expands, so shall you. Now the fire Ruyi isn't necessarily associated with finances, more so popularity and acquiring fame. So think of this as a way to build connections for yourself. If you've got a business, if you're an actor, if you're trying to make it in the arts, this is definitely the Ruyi you need to work with. The organ associated with the fire element is the heart, and this makes a lot of sense because the fire element is also associated greatly with passion. Those who gravitate towards the red Ruyi are often known to be very outgoing, very confident, they love to take risks, and usually with the red Ruyi backing you up, those risks always do pay off. The color red is the most auspicious in feng shui, so if you are trying to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, certainly consider using that. Now the earth Ruyi, the yellow one, what's very interesting about this particular element is it combines both yin and yang, both passive and aggressive. So if you're someone who is looking for the best of both worlds, you want to take calculated risks, but you still want to be a little bit experimental with your methods. Definitely consider using the yellow Ruyi. Now this one is perhaps the most unique out of all of them. The metal Ruyi, the white, it magnifies what they call the power of noblemen, providing you powerful figures, benefactors, helpful persons, or noblemen who will lend you external help to navigate through difficulties. So basically what this means is if you're a team player, if you're attempting to open up a business or an organization and you want other people to help you out from the outside, you can get that by using this white Ruyi. And last but not least, you have the blue Ruyi, which is associated with water. Now in Taoist philosophy and in the mythology, the Taoists consider water to be one of the strongest and most powerful elements. And the reason why they think this is because of if you have a rock in the sea, in the ocean, and you have water going over it and over it. After many years, the rock will start to dissolve. And the philosophy is this: the soft will always overcome the hard. So do not be a person who is like a rock. You refuse to change, you refuse to move. Water is fluid, water can adapt. That's why you must always be like water. So, with all of the essential tools covered, let's talk a little bit about the side effects of practicing wealth magic for prolonged periods of time. I have noticed that when I sit down and do my rituals, if I do one ritual, it's perfectly fine. I don't get any side effects whatsoever. Very low risk. However, if I keep going back, asking for more, working for more, what generally happens is I start to see a deterioration in my physical health. I start to feel as though I get sick. So sometimes I can develop a sore throat, I can feel like I have the flu or a cold, and it's a very strange set of symptoms. And I'm not sure why it exactly happens, but I think it's the universe's way of saying to you, keep moderating yourself. Stay in control. Do not let your body reward system, your love of wealth, take over. Stay grounded. And I think it's a pretty good lesson there. I always say to my viewers, your health is your wealth. If you have all the money in the world, but you don't have your own body on your side to enjoy it, it's worth nothing. So in conclusion, if you're still not convinced that money magic is legitimate, and I don't blame you, I am getting ready to purchase a third car. That's right. It really does work. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. I'll see you soon.